You're listening to the Law Enforcement Pirate Radio Network. Radio Free Larry presiding.
You can run, but you can't hide.
Radio Free Larry.
All right, here we go again. I was a little bit late there because the power shut off somehow to the digital interface. Thank you, Larry. So again, we're having issues of heavy-handedness and harassment. Again, we go to the elderly lady with a newspaper. They don't care, man. They're too callous. They're not making us safer. It's obvious the world isn't getting safer. So let's get to that part first before we buy into the other bullshit. They're the only people that can say, I can't do my job because the criminals are getting more powerful, more smarter, more aggressive. There's more of them. The liberals, I mean, all the money you spent, all the technology. They're stalking me all day trying to get me to act out. They're not testing me. IGY6, Kansas plate. IGY6. IG. Y. So again, those phonetics spell apostle operation. Trying to figure out this girl, what she's doing. Yeah, she was over by IGY6, probably unaffiliated. But she touched her eye. Tried to send a psychic message, possibly, because she was very intent in looking at me. Okay, they're pulling away. She could be pulling part of it. I don't know. Let's see if their plate says anything. Now, the guy in IGY6 looked a little weird, but, you know, if they're doing this, everybody could look weird. I don't look at anything on their plates. She may have just been sending a psychic message. People do that. She touched her eye, but she did a downward thing, which is like a sad face. Again, no matter what I say, don't act out violently. That's me. That's the difference between me and everyone else. They won't tell you not to act out violently. I will. Because God will handle it. Even if you're gone 200 years before God can do anything, then that's the breaks. Again, that's the problem with Christians. They're acting based upon the flesh instead of letting God do it. So again, they're not really Christians. Well, I'll tell you, let's get to Vapor Maven. What's her name? Bobart. I'm not the biggest fan of her, and she is full of doo-doo. But as far as touching a man touching her, again, it's the nature of the planet today. And she's in a position where I wouldn't say that she's quote-unquote great, but she's in a great position. So she's cursed to have that happen. There's even a question as to how she got where she did. Well, if you look at powers and energies, is almost trying to discredit something. I'm not against it. I mean, I believe everyday people should be these places. I'm not telling people to be sexual. I'm saying if you're stuck in sexuality, first I would go to the Bible and try to get married. or stuck in what they call fornication. Again, I'm not faulting you for quote unquote fornicating because I know what the planet's doing. It actually, community members will actually physically operate you in a psychological manner to make it happen. How it leaked to these people, I have no idea. I mean, could be foreign spies. I believe our spies are sold out or blackmailed, extorted. Okay, yeah. They want me to, something's coming up in the mind, and it says, what happens on an alert? Well, you walk in a store and people are standing too, and they're staring at you at times. Again, I just let it go because I've been Juding for like 30 years. Part of the time, not even knowing it. Thank you, Larry. So if the main shooter was put into something like that, he could feel like people are talking about it. Me, I was so far asleep, I didn't know anything was happening at first. Then when they pushed the trigger to cause, they caused John's death, and then we're trying to cause everybody else's death. I mean, they get into it, man. They get into suicides and all that kind of stuff. The people that are into what I'm speaking about. Then I started waking. God woke me up. And their spirits, and theoretically, it was Ronald Reagan while he was still alive, which is weird. But I guess he was laying in bed. Something actually happened with my father, or my stepfather, after that, to explain it. And maybe that's why God showed me that to me. I was doing the vigil at the hospice for my stepfather, and while I was sitting there, I'm psychic. All of a sudden, I see my stepfather outside the building, walking around, spirit like a ghost. And he walks back in and gets in his body. Thank you, Larry. So when I was in the government, there was the spirit. I'm laying in bed. I mean, they're killing me, man. I mean, I know what Jonathan Luna went through. And again, it could be murder, could be suicide. They like to think it's suicide because that's their power, but it could have been murder. Thank you, Larry. So I'm laying there and I'm depleted. Okay, they're depleting us. They're trying to force us to suicide or to act out violently. Everybody can harass you and you can't say anything. Crimes were committed by my coworkers to alter my ability to maintain, even to protect, because they weren't going to be. I mean, I used to pull over and, watch cops at traffic stops at times because I, was carrying and had authority to use it. I didn't have to do that on the way home or out to get a cup of coffee or shopping. Well, because I was one of the first people to say, hey, cops should not be on a traffic stop alone unless it's absolutely necessary. There's no reason. And we're talking about, late 90s, early part of this, I guess early part of the century more so. So I'm laying there, and a spirit comes in. And I'm asleep. I don't even know it's a spirit. I mean, this is how weird it was. But I'm speaking the voice. This is when I started speaking the voice like this. But I have no clue what's happening, really. I'm in my apartment in Maryland, and it has me. Well, actually, no, I don't think I was speaking out yet. No, I think it was like at Spicer's when I started oracling. But it walks me over to this paperwork that I had that the government gave to me. And at this point, I'm barely getting my mail out of the mailbox. I mean, it's stacking up in there. And the postal woman's just cramming it in there. So again, she could have been part of it. They may have told her to do that. 100%. And it points to my retirement. And this wasn't like when I did it. It was probably 6 to 8 months before. Because it kind of became bearable at work for a while until somebody flipped the trigger again. I mean, not perfect, but bearable. What I think happened is they got them under control, and then they end run with some sort of extortion, and then nobody wanted to do anything to stop them. 100%. They use extortion. They're sick. They're evil. They're criminal. It caused me a lot of gas tonight. See, they're mad because I'm not spending a lot of money. They were triggering me to spend money, and I wasn't doing it. But I don't care. God, it's God's money, and we healed a lot of stuff tonight. Well, it comes to the point where you can't protect the community because of what your coworkers are doing. I mean, it's obviously a felony crime on their part. 100%. It's assault on federal officer, obstruction of justice, criminal stalking. That's when it got real bad because I said online that they were stalking me. Yeah, I know you're stalking me. And they really hit me hard because they probably freaked out. That was happening in Mars Service, other places. The other places, the person got moved to headquarters, and they stopped it. So what they did there is try to turn it into an official case. Adopted for the low road. But long story short, I've said this before, it was Ronald Reagan on the inside. And when I left the government and was on leave, Ronald Reagan passed within a couple weeks of me being on leave. And then the repressed memory came up. That was an inside person. But what happened is when I was in Miami? Somewhere, I think I looked when I was in Miami at a Kinko's or something online. But what it said, the voice was saying Sergeant Major's retirement. This is how you know things are real. Sergeant Major's retirement. I'm going to go by the spot one more time and see if I can see anything. Okay, the Shield store. You have to heal the Shield store, that's for sure. Kids. But heal the store, protect them and all that. Well, because you want the criminal protected to not be the criminal. So if you just heal the kids, you may catch the perpetrator in the act, but you don't want the act to exist. So then you heal the store. So I was able to get to. It says Sergeant Major retirement after 20 years, Ronald Reagan, signed Ronald Reagan. It's after he was dead. And then I was like, I thought, well, maybe I let me look at that. So I looked at the Sergeant Major's retirement after. I wasn't making much back then, but Sergeant Major's retirement after 20 years was the, approximate, very close. I mean, the 1,000 figure was the same. It's what I was making when I got out of the government. Sergeant Major's retirement after 20 years. Because that's what was offered. So again, I was asleep, but when I was asleep, before I went in the Army, so Reagan said, Sergeant Major, we'll get you to Sergeant Major, and you'll get a retirement at a minimum. Well, he never let it happen. Obviously, if I went back in the military, I'd have been a Sergeant Major in a week if they could do it. Everybody had moved along and been big. I mean, people that I was are like, what do they call that? I wouldn't say mentor exactly, but I was like their role model. They were like, sergeant majors and special forces. I'll be just like Sergeant Moore when I grow up. Actually, look at her. That's why I felt bad for Sergeant Santos, Vietnam vet, National Guard Vietnam. I couldn't finish sapper school. I felt so sorry for him. But he should have been in that position. He shouldn't even have been in a line unit. He should have been in brigade or battalion headquarters. Right. I think they did finally move you. Right. Now you got somebody Vietnam vet that's Sergeant Santos. You put them in brigade or battalion headquarters. See, that's how nasty they are these days. I mean, back then it wasn't commonplace. I think they did get him to brigade or battalion. I think battalion. But like Gant, that's what you do. You send them to headquarters. Oh, for sure. And then he works from a desk. And then he still maintains a connection with the line. What was that? I mean, you're killing everything, all of you. Again, Trump's one of the problem children. He's, this idea, self at all cost. So again, when the alert's on, generally. They tell some stores to don't, but they're ruining your chances to be anything in the community. Oh, that guy. Oh, he's your neighbor. Oh, they call alerts on him all the time when he comes in our store. That's what it's designed to do. Now, let me go one more time up this way. Just not ready to wind down after all that. I spent all that time and all that money healing your community while you're calling alerts on me. Knowing you're ruining my chances of ever having a normal life. What pieces of shit. You go to a church, they call, oh, this guy's trouble. Oh, you can't leave him alone in your church. I hate to say it, but with like women and kids. That's how they do it, man. And then all of a sudden, everybody knows you as that person. And then they regurgitate it back to the government later on. That's how they do it. It's a scam. The whole government's a scam. I mean, doesn't the non-prosecution of Matt Gaetz tell you anything? Because he's everything that they tell you you're all out protecting the community from, right? Him and his buddy Greenberg or Greenspan, whatever it is. Tried to be Greenspan. No, God's revealed all of that. You, yes. Prostitution, yes. I don't see anything down in here. I work with spirits and stuff, so again, I don't know if it's a cop asking me to look or a spirit. Oh, that was that house. Yeah, I don't know. No, it's a scam. Like you can't say anything about it, but you're tortured until you say something about it. Like if I say something about it, then I get an up. I don't know if they do it anymore. Right. But just long enough to torture my mind again. Hey, you thought you were out of it, huh? Nah, when it clicked at how evil they were when I was with my kids, I, had the weekend with him or something. It was Christmas. I had him around Christmas. And I hadn't seen him in a while. And he'd been killing me, and I guess John was already dead. And this guy gets out of this Jeep, and I'm like, I just knew he was one of them instantly. Again, that's what was scaring them. I was waking up and seeing them because they're used to just causing people to be criminals without knowing that's what's happening. Again, the main shooter probably didn't have a clue. Again, there's no evidence that he sought God. So I got to this gas station, and they invaded the gas station. I was going to get car wash. And all of a sudden, they just, stacked up at the car wash. I don't know if I had pushed the button yet for the car wash or not. And I may have done that. I may have pushed the button for the car wash. They may have known I purchased car wash. I don't know. But it stacked up. And God said, you know what we're going to do? We're not going to get a car wash. We're going to go to church. So we went over to the church. Now, God wasn't, I hadn't heard, I don't think I was hearing God at that point. But it was God. And said, we'll go to church. So we went over to the church, but of course they invaded the church. Stalked me at church. And you know what they did at church? They brought young girls around me. That's what they did. Like, I'm going to church to have a good life, a good church life. Everybody knew I was a serious Christian. and they're trying to sexualize me around little girls. Oh, that's your perception. Our agents tell us the psychology is sucks. Your agents are full of shit, and everybody knows it. Why? Because I told them. I mean, this is reality. No peace in church. If as soon as I leave the church, I have a great life for about a month or two. But again, the church people fail. Am I telling them not to work with cops? I can't. I don't have authority to do that. It's probably wrong to do that. But the Bible tells you not to do anything that would inhibit this spiritual aspect of the church. Again, it's not expedient to psychologically operate people with little girls and also the other adult women. They use them as bait. But I mean, I was nowhere near the young women. They brought them over to the section where I sat. You can't even steer clear of them. Was I having funny feeling? No. I was going, what the fuck are they doing now? like everything else. That's about 22 years ago. No, actually, maybe about 21 years ago. Or 20 years ago. Somewhere in there. 20 to 21 years ago. They already did it other places, but I didn't figure it out. If Pastor Hopkins' daughter wasn't part of it, then she was operated by it. And maybe that's what killed her. Oh, there were some things going on in that world, sexually and otherwise. Let's remember SB. SB's a disabled, I don't even know where she is now, but she was a disabled young person, Christian woman, theoretically. What did it say was going to happen? H, heroin, opiates. So let's heal disabled young people from being hooked into opiates. Yeah, healed. Right. Okay, there's an angel here. And it said the other part of it is, I usually don't see angels, but I just saw one. The other part of it is this. I missed this part. So God power. It takes more power to make an angel appear, but God wanted us to get to this side of it. Prescription what do they call that? Pill mill type stuff. So again, let's also pray that their medication is minimized to a level that helps them and doesn't cause them to be over medicated. Now, Horror House is coming up a little bit. So let's hope anyone that's caring for a disabled person doesn't medicate them into oblivion based upon the desire to do that. Again, the pill mill and then the caretaker. Well, the angel appeared real quick and said, the pill mill thing, yeah. But it just didn't say anything, actually. It just went poof. It didn't say anything. It just went and I had a thought. It didn't appear like physically. It's just a vapor, an apparition. It's a mind's eye thing, I think. I think that's what you would call it. But it's there. I just have no time for people that are doing that to someone. No time. And for all I know, you're grooming them people to be Nazis. The question is, the guy that shot me the peace sign, was he the one? Was he trying to heal me? Did he know what was going on? Because a peace sign could be a magical symbol. They're stalking people, man. Hamas, we got to go stalk Larry. Now also my life tumbles. I mean, I might still have to pay money for damage to my apartment, but I don't think so. I think I fixed and cleaned everything. If you pay me my money, it wouldn't matter. Again, the spirits are speaking to me. And again, that's part of it. You need to pay me my money that you owe me for the harassment. That be for the work I've done. Because it wouldn't matter. I'd pay $1,000, $2,000 and not care. You wouldn't let me make any money, and you know you did. And you know if I went there to work, you'd put people in. Like Little Girl and the Slickster. So it wasn't worth it to go back to the same shit the Marshal Service is. Wherever you rear your ugly heads. I was in Santa Fe emergency room. What was happening was, it was my digestion, and it was causing what we thought was heart palpitations, but it wasn't. It was just gas bubbles or something. So I was in Santa Fe. I was in the emergency room, and a woman comes in, and she tells me, my uncle was in the Marshal Service. He was an inspector. And they did him. And that he got out, and then the power flipped, and he went back in. Still to this day, I don't know who it is. I think they asked him to come back in once the power flipped. So she knew exactly what I was talking about. That's why it came up. I told her they were doing me somehow. I forgot what I said. No, I'd be married, have a house. Even with my income level, I would have got a mortgage years ago, and it would have worked out. Unless they, paid somebody to put me into the poorhouse on something like real estate taxes or something. Then it would have been a little bit inconvenient. Actually, the houses that I was looking at in Cape Coral wouldn't have been a problem at all. I'd probably end up selling that one and getting twice my money. Pay her 1,000, get 200. But they're in the middle of everything. And then there was the one. There was no way I could move down to Alabama with what they were doing. They know. They know if you don't get to a church and they don't let you wire into the church that it's not going to do a thing and it'll actually go in reverse. So again, to be I'll end with this. To be a chosen person means that you take care of people, that you don't sell out. That's what it is to be a chosen person. Now, Rabbi Jesus spoke about being chosen. Many are called, but few are chosen. And if you track Hashem, again, I was asleep. I could barely even read scripture. I mean, I would get, like, at a certain point, my clairvoyance was coming on. And the Bible, God was leading me with the Bibles. I just open it and they're my answer. And then, the deep state told the preacher to preach about that I shouldn't do that. And he preached about it. He probably know he's a CIA officer. Because that church probably had a few in there. But, they were telling like the greatest thing that I could imagine God doing for an asleep person. They read the scripture and they could just open the book. And actually, who do you think told me to open the book? Who do you think said, "Hey, Larry, just open the book and the first thing you read is it." And there it is, my answer. So then what God did, again, this is an increase in faith or a test of faith, but God and I don't have these type of things. We're just more having a let's navigate Earth and succeed, or this planet. It's not Earth. This is not Earth that was created in the Bible. The first thing that I would read would mean nothing. I'm like, oh, I'm losing my touch. And then it would be the second thing I read, and then it would be the third thing. What would happen is the first couple things I would read, I'd need them next week to get through something. Now, this is when they were trying to kill me and they killed John. This is how my life was wired. Now, remember, now Moses had a better childhood than me and a better, upbringing and life than me, like a rich person, right? But Moses was asleep for 40 years. Now, I'm not the type of person that minds that when I say this, and it isn't a subconscious trick. I'm actually saner than anybody on the planet, but they're driving me insane with metaphysics. Well, I have to speak out, or nothing happens in a positive way. It's all negative. I have to speak out for myself. I have to speak to the spirits. I have to speak to the existence. But I also lead an army of angels, so I really don't care. Well, it's either you stop or God destroys the planet all of you. I mean, Israel's already made a major mistake with the hostages. Now, they're saying that the bombing has killed hostages. That's probably true. Now, the question is, are they trying to destroy evidence? Or are they just trying to save face and made the wrong? Well, anytime there's hostages, you go to the law enforcement book. Now, you have military people on hand, you move people into place, but you have to go to the law enforcement book and start moving the law enforcement hostage negotiation methods. So I don't know who told you to invade right away. So what happens is they see my life pick up and they want to attack it and destroy it. That's what the government does. That's what the PIs do. There's no other reason that they're doing it. They're vicious devils. They're not some high grade investigator that takes on the tough people that need to be treated that way. They're disgusting. They're filth. So again, I imagine the main shooter was on a list of people to arrest, no matter what they call it. Well, possibly God was trying to wake him up. The hardest part of waking up is that first initial. Right. And for all we know, he was drugged. Could have been drugged. A military guy. They may not like him. He's a rich family military guy or something like that. All that had to happen because he's a good looking guy, right? He was. Comes into town. One of the deep state people have 5 women that he has sex with, and one of them liked that guy. Thought it was cute. Maybe she could settle down with him. That's all it would take. That's how sick they are. And then they bring to bear all that psychological operation. Could have been that he was a military guy and they're corrupt. They don't like real government people at all. Well, he could have been seeing based upon God trying to help him see what was going on. But God couldn't fix it completely because he was being cursed. Again, the evil has this way over God on this planet. The God of this world is Satan. So he was direct eyes on being cursed, I guarantee it. Question is who was it? I think it's the Fusion Center. Sounds like the Fusion Center wants people that abuse cops that abuse people. Now remember, stay peaceful. There's no reason for anybody to get angry at something like that. No, I forgot what I was shopping for at the one store, but I forgot when I got to the store. When I got to this store, I remember what I wanted, but it already looked. It was out at the store I was at, but I just bought the other type this time because I forgot why I was at the other store, what I was there to get. I couldn't remember what it was. It was what do they call it? Agave. I wanted to get the dark agave. You only had the light at the store over here. I couldn't remember what I was there to get. Nice guy at the front. I speak to him every time I get there. He's got a cane. Has trouble walking. So I told him I don't want to catch COVID. I actually you rattled my mind so much I walked in without my mask. So I told him, look, when I came back in, I said I got my mask because I don't want to catch a cold. Because he started talking about colds. So he cued me to get the mask. I said I don't want to catch a cold. I don't want to get COVID because that's what started this pain syndrome, or could have. It was around all that. There's no surety I had COVID, but I most likely did for about a week. Like I said, in Tyler, Texas, they weren't that good at fighting COVID. They weren't. But you had low numbers because I think they caught it before it was tested. I think we all got COVID in that extended stay like a couple weeks before it became a concern. Everybody was sick. Everybody had sore throat. Everybody was saying it was the worst thing we've ever had in our life. But I think it was a blessing in disguise because I think the strain was a different strain or something. Like that initial strain wasn't killing people, but people were catching it. They just don't want to talk about what they're doing because it killed people, and it kills people. It's what killed John. Whatever happened to Jonathan Luna, the thing I talk about is what killed him. Whether it was suicide or homicide, because it puts you in predicaments that you normally wouldn't be in. Again, they're cursing the person and psychologically operating them. Like the night I went to the bar, I didn't want to go to the bar, but I felt I had to satisfy whatever it is they were doing and what they wanted. I speak to people. I used to speak to people just to, I know they're part of it or possibly part of it. I have to speak to them, show them that I'm not dangerous or anything. God just said, God will not strive to be with man forever. Again, it's kind of out of place in the scriptures the way it's said, because God wants it to stand down. Again, God winks and then God doesn't wink. Again, if you're Jews, you miss a lot of the New Testament. It was a fix. It was a network patch. What was I doing in the store? I was trying to get the agave. Then I was going to go get a cart. And then I was like, well, what was I here to get? I can't remember. And I laughed. I was broadcasting. I can't, yeah, but I couldn't remember what I was there to get. I walked up a couple aisles, down a couple aisles. I couldn't remember. I'm like, yeah. I try to stay stocked up on agave. Can't believe this. It's such a nice place to move into, such a nice environment to live in, and they can't deal with it. They can't deal with it. That's the problem. They're just going to come along as devils and ruin it. They're so ignorant. They shouldn't even have a job. I mean, they're that ignorant. They don't qualify for those positions. Oh yeah, some of your people are talking me on my mind. That's how I know some of it. They're sick of it. They can't say anything, or they have Larry life. They say can the bitch. Oh, it's disgusting. It's just filthy. I mean, I'd have a totally different life. They see what happens when I go into a spiritual life. They don't like it because they're weird. They're wackos. They're weirdos. They're the people. They try to operate the person into being weird, but they're the weirdos. And they are what God killed in Sodom and Gomorrah. They are forcing adulterated sexuality. So you're not going to find a comfort zone by trying to embarrass and browbeat the world into supporting Israel. It's just not going to be there. Everybody knows that they harassed Palestinians. Do we absolutely condone what Hamas did? No, but it's insane. So you grab a gun, you shoot somebody, and somebody grabs a gun to defend themselves. Just hear me out. Then that's normal, right? a normal reaction. Now, let's say you do it over an extended period of time using psychological methods that radicalize, using prisoner of war camp technology. Is it possible that their minds could come out of the norm and move to where it was? 100%. So what game are we supposed to play? Kill the Palestinian because you caused the Hamas to exist like that? They're Iran's best friend. They radicalized people. I told the FBI they were the terrorist's best friend because what they do to people to harass them was causing the radicalization to take root and work. But yet they get paid so much money to fight it, they don't care. They're getting rich. How much overtime you pay these people to fuck up my life? How much are they making? Are they on assignment? They're getting per diem on top of it? Nothing better to do, right? No, I couldn't figure out what was going on. I'm like, Jesus, this is like horrible. Here it's eyes on fucking. Evil eye fucking. No, when this happened, it's like the Roman games to them, whether they call it that or not. Let the games begin! Ha ha! That one looks like they're Hamas. I mean, it's Juden. Well, you did it one too many times, and you ended up with the main shooter. Now, again, nobody get angry at what I'm saying because some people can be affected by the fact that they got so many people killed by psychologically harassing the main shooter. They're doing all this stuff in their head. they're like launching like SWAT teams at me in the head. Now the SWAT team got turned into a honor guard. He just saluted me. Well, that was one of our military career people. What happened? Oh, they all have trouble sometimes. Their trouble is they come out into the community and then they're attacked because some son of a bitch that has 5 girls that he has sex with, rotates them around. One of them wants to get married or have a relationship with the guy that got out of the military because he got a retirement and looks a clean-cut guy. That's part of what happens in these communities, and cops are part of it. So the question is, was anybody talking about him? Again, the family might be off base. 100%. Was the Fusion Center out there looking at him, talking about him? They think it's funny, man. They got somebody that's having a psychological issue. They come up and they start pushing the buttons. That's where the dude just went crazy on them. He may have even been drugged. What does he know? Who does he know? Well, he's in the military. He was with a lot of people in 20 years, or I guess 22 years. Right? Any of those people could be in CIA, could be in a law enforcement entity. He might know dirt on them or upstaged them in the military. They put a contract out on you. These are contract hits on you. They're not leads. They're contract hits. Can't believe it. After all these years, they're fucking my life again. Finally get somewhere nice to live. Community worth healing. But again, remember, they're doing it to me. And then all of a sudden, Hamas attacks Israel. Same with Ukraine. Again, I need you to pay me the money you owe me. Not extorting anybody, not blackmailing anybody. But you made a life. You made this life be like it is. I can't sue you, and you know it. It's not because of something I did. It's because something you all did and do. I mean, face it. If they're going to let, what's that guy's name? Not Rufusburger. What was that guy's name? The kid with the AR. Yeah, we're in Kenosha. Let me think of his name. Yeah, I'm not receiving. But if they're gonna acquit him, and the judge is part of it, obviously I can't sue you. Now the judge pleads he had to. Inside, the judge pleads that he was extorted. I don't know if it's true. Well, I'm pretty big inside. I'm sure he heard something. So the judge and the what was that guy's name? See, that's why they. I'll get the name now. Kyle Rittenhouse. All right. Oh wait, let me go back over. Kyle Rittenhouse. Somebody keeps saying that they're not here, that somebody else is here, and I have no idea who that is. So again, they're fantasizing that something's going on in their direction, unless they could. In other words, if you ever had anything to do with what's happening to me, you could end up paying for what's happening to me today, and that has nothing to do with me. It has to do with God. That's a scam in the deep state. They do it like 2 years at a time. And next you know, it's 20 years and 10 different people. No, they know the psychological thing. It's just like prison war camp. It's prison war camp technology to cause an alert every time you go into a store. But it's corrupt prison war camp technology. Kind of like an Abu Ghraib thing. No, they're shit. They're filth. They should be fired yesterday, so I wouldn't have to deal with it today. God's giving me visions and stuff. It's not like anything other than the normal world. But there's these two lights, and they can't. Right when I pull it up, I look in my room mirror, and God goes, "Satan's watching." God keeps sending me messages. So again, one of the MOs is this. They say something about a person. They do these alerts, say things about him, quote unquote, leak information, but most of it's fabricated. And then eventually they know that psychological operation and they pay people to say stuff in the community about me and about others. And again, over time, it trickles back to them. So, whereas if a cop calls the alerts and says this person's dangerous, they're unhinged, they're a criminal, they're a rapist, they're a murderer, or a drug dealer, whatever it is, they're a bomber, it could be a bomber, whatever they say, they know over time they can cause that to come back to them in a phone call or an email, a tip, whatever. And again, some people they pay to do that. I mean, this is what they spend their time doing instead of doing what they could be doing to stop crime. They want to react to crime. They don't want to stop crime. They want crime to happen so they can come in and go, "Aren't we your hero today, aren't we?" Again, God knows the thoughts of your minds and your hearts. God knows you're causing crime. Did somebody up them because of the Hamas thing? What's going on? How do they have so much anti right now? I mean, walk around with anti-power, cursing people all day while they call fake alerts in stores. This community should never be respected ever again. Should be spit on and shit on. Well, stay peaceful. Praise God in all that you do. Praise God.